The Fandom Bricks Podcast.
Hello, everyone. It is that time of the week again. It is the Fandom Bricks Podcast. I am your host, the Galaxy of Bricks, and as ever, I am joined by my amazing co-host, who does not need an introduction, but it's always introduction time, and he is...
Hi, everyone. I'm Sam, better known as Bite-Sized Bricks. You may have to bear with us this week. There's been very little prep that's gone into the podcast this week. You may be able to hear I've got a cold and everything as well, so this will be maybe even more dull, my voice this week than normal. But we have got some interesting topics to talk about this week. But as ever, we will start with our Lego life story. So, Josh, how's your week been in Lego?
Do you remember that Lego band that I was on?
Yeah. How's that going?
That's not gone well. I bought 3 sets this week, in the time since we recorded the podcast. So I ended up buying, as part of Black Friday weekend, I got Shuri Sunbird from Smith's. Nice. And I also have dabbled in Lego City as well.
Oh, nice. What did you go for?
Oh, specifically with Lego City, I got the Moon Rover.
Yeah, cool.
Which was also discounted as well on Amazon, and I also got one of the small satellite station sets as well. That has not arrived yet,
awesome.
but it is on its way. So I've got 2 city sets that I thought would be really interesting builds and would be really interesting to review on my channel. So yeah, I mean they're not big purchases, but they're different, so I'm happy with that. What about
awesome.
you? Have you been up to anything? Or
yeah, well, obviously we had the Black Friday deals over the weekend. Again, I think for a while now there hasn't really been anything that's jumped out at me that I've really wanted. The only thing that I hadn't bought that I did want was the trash compactor, diorama sets. And that had quite a significant deal off, and that was a very kind of off-the-cuff purchase. I was heading out for something. I think I literally left the house to go and get some kitchen roll, and came back with the Lego diorama as well, the trash compactor diorama. So I was very pleased about that, and I'm going to find some time this weekend. I've had a difficult week this week, so I'm going to find some time this weekend to just kind of sit and chill, and I'm going to build that this weekend and add it to the other diorama set. So yeah, looking forward to building that. But again, not much else. The Black Friday weekend was a bit of a weird one. I was constantly I was going through all the different websites trying to find something good. But other than a few things, most of the deals were kind of down to the prices that they were a while ago. And so, unlike you, I didn't really jump at Lego City because I did see that there were, outside of Star Wars, outside of things that I collect, there were quite a few really good deals. So, still waiting to kind of jump on a few sets, but I'm glad I picked that up. So it's been good.
Yeah,
enjoyed that.
I think so. Really, that's like a good way of kind of rounding it off. To be honest with you, can't argue with that one.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, cool. So, again, I think this is all going to ramp up. We've got January coming up, and there's going to be a lot of new releases. And so I think when January comes around, I think we'll be talking about lots of sets that we've been buying. And that's what we're going to talk about in our first main topic. So our first main topic this week, and we talked about this a while ago when we had Just 15 Bricks on, we talked about rumoured sets for 2023. And we talked about the Marvel sets that were potentially coming up. And each of these sets now, I think we did discuss at some point. But we are going to talk about some now released, confirmed sets. And we've seen the box art and the sets themselves. So we're going to talk about the Marvel sets that are going to be released in January. So the 4 in particular that we're going to talk about are the Miles Morales versus Morbius set. If it's going to let me go to it. Then the Avengers Quinjet, the Hulkbuster, which will be very interesting to talk about, and the Ghost Rider mech. So, first of all, Josh, are there any there that really stand out to you that you'd kind of like to point out and discuss quickly?
The Quinjet, I like. The minifigure selection looks really good, and the build looks really fun. It's kind of reminiscent of that Jurassic World set that was released recently as well. Like, in terms of style of build, that looks really nice. The Hulkbuster, I think we're going to need a separate discussion on this main topic about that, but that's one that's quite interesting to see. The Morbius and Miles Morales one, I'm actually quite liking the look of that. I didn't think I would, but I quite like the look of it.
We had a bit of a discussion about that, about what kind of set that would be, because Morbius is quite a dark character within Marvel, but actually they've it's a very like it's a 7+ set, so it's obviously aimed at a younger audience, but it's a really cool build for those of you listening. It's kind of like a small car build with Morbius and a few bats, and then a Miles Morales figure as well. But yeah, it looks a really good build. It kind of reminds me of the recent kind of £25 Batmobile set that came out recently. The car looks a similar build to that, so yeah, it should be a good one. Like you said, with the Quinjet, that looks a really good build. Again, for those listening, the minifigs that come with that I think it's based around the original Avengers film, so the 2012 Avengers film. So we've got Captain America, Loki, Thor, Black Widow, and Iron Man in there as well. The thing that immediately jumped out to me, and this is something that I wish more sets would do, is that it has a stand for the Quinjet.
Ooh, fancy.
And it is fancy. It's fancy, but the XL-15, the Buzz Lightyear ship that came out this year, had just a small, simple stand, and it's an extra like 30-40 pieces, and I just don't understand when you're having ships and stuff like that, why more. And it does frustrate me with Star Wars, because you then have to go to third-party people or build them yourselves, because some of these ships that come out are so awkward to display, especially the Quinjet, the kind of floor space that takes up if it's just sat down on the floor, opposed to being on a stand where you can fit things underneath it as well. So I think that was a really clever move by Lego.
Yeah, I agree.
So the other one, which we kind of we talked about a few episodes ago, was the Ghost Rider mech. Now this is very cool, because you've got the Ghost Rider mech, a very cool Johnny Storm minifig, but also a motorbike that fits the mech as well, so it kind of goes alongside. So it's something a bit different for those kind of mech builds, a vehicle that kind of fits that as well. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I missed out on the original Ghost Rider stuff when it first came out, because I didn't collect Marvel at the time. But I think for the price it's probably going to be, because obviously it's based on just the design of it and the look of it, you're going to be paying more than your standard, like say, like £9.99. So I reckon that's going to be more to the £20+ mark. But if it's an easy as like build as it looks, I think that'll do really well. And I think the minifigure is what people will want as well. To have a Ghost Rider Johnny Storm minifigure that looks that badass in your collection, I think it's a winner for me if it is a fun build. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think we talked about this before, but one thing that you do get with the mechs is quick price drops. It's one that I'm definitely going to get it, but I'm probably going to wait a month or so, or 2 months, because I do, like you, I think it's probably going to come out. I'm thinking the buildable figure Spider-Man and Venom sets that have come out recently. Actually, I think I have the Venom here just because it's easier to show. So this kind of set that has come out recently, I think these came out for about £25 originally, and then very quickly dropped down to like £17-18. And I think realistically that's something similar that's going to happen with those mechs coming out, and certainly with the Ghost Rider one. So I think when it drops below 20, I'll jump at it.
Yeah, that's a safe option, I think.
Okay, so those were all interesting ones, but the one we really want to talk about, the Hulkbuster. Come on, give us your thoughts.
Specifically, though, it's the Wakanda Hulkbuster. Let's get it right. We're going to talk about it. It's the Wakanda Hulkbuster. So this is Avengers Infinity War Hulkbuster.
The one that they edited out of the trailer. Originally, it was the Hulk in the trailer, wasn't it? And then they edited it out. So what are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, it's not 400 and something pounds, so that's a win. It's got quite a nice minifigure selection as well, so that's good. I mean, we've got to kind of give them plaudits for maybe appeasing the people who thought that it was a little bit too much money to have a gigantic UCS style Hulkbuster, so they've given more of a play scale one. So I'm going to give them that one. And it's almost as if, especially with having the Quinjet and having this one, they're kind of going back to sort of the movies that made them the most money in a way. Because obviously we've got the Quinjet from the first Avengers in 2012, and then obviously we've got the Hulkbuster from Infinity War. So they're kind of they're sticking very close with like those larger sets to movies that people liked, I think. So that's safe. And obviously the Morbius ones and the Ghost Rider one are just probably like, they're not based on a specific part of any movie that or comic book or TV series I've seen, but they're just there for fun. But I think the Hulkbuster will do well because people are very dissatisfied with the large UCS style Hulkbuster. So I think that's a winner for those people who can't afford the massive one and don't want the massive one.
I think you're right in that it's going to be a winner and they're appeasing people, but should they have to do that? That's the annoying thing for me. Why have you put yourself in the position where you're having to bring out a Hulkbuster because you've just brought out a Hulkbuster that everybody's annoyed with?
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, I do feel bad for the designer of the UCS Hulkbuster. That person has probably spent years trying to figure out a concept for a Hulkbuster, only for it to be absolutely panned by fans and critics and stuff like that. So yeah, you got to give them some kind of pat on the back for like trying.
I guess unfortunately, as an artist, as a designer, that's part and parcel with the job. When you're creating something and putting it out there, you're aware that there's going to be feedback, and it might be positive and it might be negative. And I certainly like with you, I certainly don't blame the designer in this situation. It's more the obviously Lego as a whole, or at least the Marvel team at Lego. There's no way, because of how close the releases have been, there's no way they didn't know that both of these were coming out. It just seems, with all the things that you've got in Marvel, and they've brought out two Hulkbusters within, 2-3 months of each other.
Yeah,
very odd.
It's kind of like what we said last time with the Razor Crest. It's like that whole Razor Crest thing again, isn't it? So many Razor Crests in so many years, and now you're getting two Hulkbusters within the space of months. So I maybe in a weird kind of way, the big UCS Hulkbuster was the test bed for the smaller Hulkbuster. People liked the big one. It's simple. People are going to want the small one. People didn't like the big one. Oh, it's okay. We'll release a smaller one so it's more affordable, and then people might buy it because they don't want the big one. So if you're in it's a smart strategy. Yeah,
to be fair, it works either way, doesn't it? So
exactly,
I think you might be right. But yeah, no, I aside from being annoyed at Lego, I think this is a fairly decent build, or at least it looks like it. It certainly looks more Hulkbuster-ish than the main Hulkbuster. And I actually think I think it's the nicer looking version of the Hulkbuster as well. Also, I think Bruce Banner's amazing, so we'll get him in there as well. You spoke about the minifigs. We've got Bruce Banner, Okoye, and two of Thanos' Outriders in there as well, which I feel like I've got way too many of those now. They need to stop. They're becoming the Marvel version of a battle droid.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think Okoye and Bruce Banner are really good minifigures as well, because you're so used to getting the Hulk as a minifigure, you don't get Bruce Banner very often. So I think that's a good seller, really, and it fits with what that set is about, isn't it? So
yeah. Absolutely. Let's hypothetically say that they didn't do a Hulkbuster for this wave. What would you have liked them to do? If you're thinking, let's think Phase 4, because we've had very few Marvel Phase 4 sets other than maybe Black Panther and a couple of Doctor Strange and Spider-Man ones. Is there anything jumping out at you? Because this is kind of what I was thinking with the Hulkbuster, is maybe they're going back because there's just nothing that they're keen on bringing out.
Me personally, because I have recently watched it for the first time and absolutely loved it, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more Shang-Chi.
Nice. I loved Shang-Chi. I was obsessed with Shang-Chi when it first came out. I think I went to the cinema 4 times to go and see it. Great film.
Yeah, I think Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, I think there's only about 2 sets or 3 sets, if you count the polybag, from that movie. And there's just so many untapped ideas for me from that movie that you could have done. Because, you could have easily done the bus, the bus scenes, but mild spoilers for those of you who have not watched Shang-Chi. Yeah, mild spoilers ahead, guys, sorry. There was a scene, on the bus and things like that. You could have done the end with the Dragon-esque Guardians and things like that. You could have easily done maybe Obviously, when they're climbing up the
even just like the
scaffolding.
little, yeah, definitely. I was thinking even like something simple, like I can't remember what car it is because it was very obvious branding. I remember in the film, but when they're in the car with Trevor, is his name Trevor?
Yeah,
Can't remember. And the little weird creature thing, and they're like driving through into the different place like that. That could have been a simple set to bring out as well. I think there was a lot of untapped sets that they could have gone for there because I think it was a very popular film.
Yeah, it's got really good reviews as well, and I'm all for it. Give me more Shang-Chi. Come on, I want something that's not. I want something that's not an Iron Man. I've got loads of Iron Man. I don't need them. I want something that's not the main Avengers. I want something that's gonna make me go, wow, it's not the main characters that I've loved and watched for years since they started doing the MCU. I want something different. So
yeah,
for me, that is my one. What about you? Hypothetically, if you weren't, if you were going to do it and it wasn't a Hulkbuster, what would you have?
Well, the one thing that jumps into my mind, and although I don't feel like the series kind of stuck the landing, I thought the ending to the series was a bit weak. But after the first couple of episodes of Moon Knight, I was like, I need a Moon Knight set. I need Moon Knight as a minifigure. I just think that whole kind of aesthetic of that program was awesome. And I think there were loads of sets. And I know that it was probably one of the quieter Marvel series, and a lesser known character. But when you look at things like Ghost Rider, I know that they've been in films and different TV series before, but I feel like they do kind of tap into the wider Marvel quite often. And I feel like that's one character that they could definitely bring in at some point. I think it would be a cool minifigure at least.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm also going to say, if you want to tap back to the original days of like the MCU and things like that, Blade.
Yeah, Blade.
I mean, obviously,
I think they've done.
Yeah, there's Blade in the Daily Bugle. That's the only Lego version of Blade that exists, like minifigure version. But if you were to go back, and obviously there's supposedly like they're going to be redoing Blade for like the modern MCU and things like that. So I think Blade would be a good one. Even if you were to do like, say, like a Blade trilogy sort of... Obviously, this is all hypothetical and speculation. This is never going to happen because obviously the movies are hyper violent and just like lethal. But you could do like, say, the Blade trilogy sort of series of sets. So you, for example, you could have Blade in his car with Whistler. You could have the final scene in Blade Trinity with him and Dracula. You could have Blade and in the sewers as like a set, things like that. So there are options out there. You could even do, say, like a vampire battle pack or something like that. Yeah.
I honestly think that at some point Lego have to bite the bullet and lean into the 18 plus kind of thing. I get that the 18 plus at the moment is to kind of signal a more difficult build, but I feel like there needs to be a more adult. They must know that a large portion of their audience are adults. Because I'm thinking, like Marvel wise, look at Doctor Strange. That scene where, and again, spoilers. Have you seen it? Have you seen the most recent Doctor Strange? Okay, no spoilers for you. So spoilers for anyone else that hasn't seen it. But the part where Scarlet Witch is kind of tearing apart the Illuminati, and you've got Mr. Fantastic, well, Reed Richards, and you've got Charles Xavier, and you've got Captain Britain, or whatever her name is, I can't remember. But like that scene would be awesome, and they would be really cool minifigs, but they're never going to do really cool minifigs of those because it's such a violent scene within Marvel. And I feel like at some point they've got to kind of go, yeah, but we know that people are going to want these sets, and so we're going to build them.
Absolutely. And I mean, let's be honest with you as well. It's not even just. It's not. I wouldn't even say it's that part of Doctor Strange. So like there are other moments within the whole MCU sphere that are hyper violent and hyper dark and hyper grungy that they could do, but they never would. I mean, we look at the whole thing on Ragnarok with Hela just absolutely decimating the Asgardians. Give me a Hela just destroying waves of Asgardians. I would definitely buy that if the character was done well in a minifigure form, and it was like it wasn't a variant, it was like a new molded Hela, and it was just like her crushing an Asgardian or something. I would buy that. That'd be different.
Nice. Yeah, I think they do limit themselves as to kind of. I know that they've kind of set their stall out as like we're this child friendly company, and of course continue with that and don't change your values. But as a fan, there's a lot of sets that I'd like to see, and even kind of properties that you'd like to see. Like I was talking to one of my friends the other day about the Watchmen series, and I thought that would make some really cool Lego sets as well. But they're never never going to do that.
Like that is
that
good
would be cool
because it's dark. Like imagine, and this is another hypothetical. Imagine, do you remember Sin City, the old movie?
Yeah.
Do you remember? Can you imagine if that?
I'm ashamed.
Was like
I'm ashamed to admit
series?
that I had like a life-size poster of Jessica Alba, Sin City, in my bedroom as a teenager. So I'll apologise for that, but I loved that film.
Yeah, like that as like a neo-noir Lego set where all the characters are grey, but there's the different there's different points of colour within the grey figures. That would be different.
That would be awesome. And now you said that, Logan.
Ooh, shout!
How nice would that be? That would be cool.
Now you
Black
said
and white
Logan, and now you've said Logan. I'm thinking for like a similar to the mech battle. Imagine from the Wolverine versus the Adamantium. Obviously, like ninja sort of warrior.
Oh yeah. That would be awesome.
I mean,
there's so much they could do. We're going to go down a rabbit hole with this. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, should we move on? Should we move on?
Oh, we don't have to. But no, yeah, I think there's lots of sets. Being Marvel, there's just they've got such a wide range of characters, a wide range of kind of properties that they can dip into. So yeah, I'm sure they'll branch out. But if they want to keep releasing the same things over and over again, then they go for it.
It's going to be a case of, in a way, doing that is going to be a little bit like, it's going to be like what they've done with Star Wars, isn't it? Where they've released so many versions of the X-Wing, so many versions of the TIE Fighter, so many versions of Luke's Landspeeder. And, it's just going to get to a point where we as fans are just going to go, oh, what's this? It's 2026. Oh, what's that? Marvel have released, another Hulkbuster. Nah, I might get it, I might not. And then you just carry on about your day. Yeah.
And Millennium Falcon as well. Look, they released one in 2016, I think, or 2015, and then again in 2019. And you think, come on. And I get it. I know as a company, they've got to make money. And these are the most recognizable things from those properties. And I get it. But when you are a fan and you are buying everything pretty much, when I'm thinking about Star Wars, I don't want to have to, and even as like a collector, I don't want 10 Luke's Landspeeders in my collection, but at the same time, I don't want to not have them because then I won't have them, and that's depressing.
Yeah, it's like the whole Razor Crest debacle as well, isn't it? Like, how many versions of the Razor Crest do you want? But you have to buy a Razor Crest because it's the Razor Crest.
And spoilers again, but I think this will come out on the 2nd of December, so that's okay. I did get another Republic gunship today.
Oh, do you know what? Me too.
Yeah. And along with everyone else that bought that calendar, but that is...
if you've been on your TikTok... Yeah. I'm saying, if you've been on your TikTok feeds recently, apparently there's some kind of Lego advent calendar out there. Nobody's told me about this. Didn't know you could get Lego advent calendars.
Everyone. I passed it over to Jacob. He's opening and building it. I'm just kind of interested to see if there's any interesting minifigs in there, but I don't. I've never been a big fan of the advent calendars. The only minifigure in there that I like is the Luke Skywalker, but I got him in the kind of mini Microfighter 80. Yeah. Was it 8080 against something?
Yeah, the 8080 Microfighter versus thing. Yeah, that is good. And I mean, I think there's only ever been one figure in an advent calendar that I've liked, and that was, I think it was the 2017, 2018 advent calendar where you got General Antok Merrick from Rogue One as an exclusive minifigure. Yeah. That was like the one time that I was excited knowing that was like the main figure.
Yeah, I think the only one that I've really kept around must have been 2013. My favourite year for Star Wars was the young Boba Fett, the like little child Boba Fett. I've still got that. But I really don't like these like Christmas versions of characters. I've got no interest. It's the same as Funko Pops. Every year Funko Pops bring out like Valentine's Funkos and Christmas Funko, and I've just got no interest. I just want the normal ones. But oh well. They're going to sell them every year anyway, aren't they? So money maker.
And people are going to buy them, so yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so we are going to move on to our second main topic, and this is something that we are circling back to because this exact same topic has been a main topic before. However, we've had so we've had more information on this, in that is pretty much been confirmed, and that is the large-scale Lord of the Rings set for next year, which is looking at being released for around £500. And Josh, since you had the inside knowledge last time, do you want to reveal to everybody what it is, those that don't know?
Well, I'm gonna have to just for legal reasons. You can speak to my solicitor and or my legal team. I did not actually get this information. I got this information secondhand on the same day, and I will not reveal who got this information. But I can reveal to you. You've probably already seen it on TikTok anyway. That the Lord of the Rings set that is £500 is actually the Fellowship of the Rings Council of Elrond, which we hypothetically discussed as a possible set on the podcast, and we've done it on Late Night Lego as well. So that rumour has been confirmed.
And it's set to release in March of next year, so March 1st. And it is rumoured to include minifigures. So that is a kind of big tick for us straight away, because I think everybody wanted a complete fellowship in a set. So what do you kind of imagine this looking like? I've been trying to wrap my head around, is it going to be on like a stand like the Lego diorama sets, or is it going to just be like a freestanding thing, or like a plate? I can't really get my head around, like a Mos Eisley Cantina kind of thing. I don't know what it's going to look like.
Well, it was confirmed that it wasn't a play set in the traditional sense, so it's not a play set. It's not like a diorama set. Obviously, it's not just a massive like Hogwarts style Rivendell with, characters like that. It's not to the same scale or scope of that. My guess would be, and I've thought about this since Jamie the Brick Educator posted that video on TikTok, and it confirmed our suspicions. And obviously it's been doing the rounds in the group chat and things like that, and we've spoke about this collectively as a group and in separate conversations what we think it could be. And hear me out on this one. This is the Galaxy of Bricks' Rivendell Fellowship Elrond theory. So please buckle in and bear yourselves. I think we're going to get a plinth and a pillow for the One Ring, and you'll get a small round gold piece that the One Ring will be, which has been done. They have released a ring style mold. It does exist. You're gonna get all the chairs for the Council of Elrond, and with one of Elrond in the centre. There's going to be trees. There's going to be an archway. I think the base of it will be buildable. It'll be like a garden-style build with like a patio and flooring and stones. There'll be plants. There'll be things like that. Because to justify a £500 price tag, it's got to be something big and it's got to be something detailed, but it's not going to be, say, Diagon Alley or the Hogwarts Express, or it's not going to be Hogwarts Castle. It's going to be a set piece from the Fellowship of the Ring with all the Fellowship, Elrond, maybe a couple of side characters that were there when they were having this meeting, and there's going to be a plinth with the One Ring, and there's going to be a display stand for the figures as well. And I'm hoping that if they do a display stand for the figures that you can line it up with, they'll even do what they've done with Star Wars and do like a Lord of the Rings style like plaque, maybe. That
would be really cool. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it has to have some sort of like impressive scale, I guess, to it, or it's got to have lots of kind of different aspects of it. I don't think they can justify well, I say this. We were at Brickfest and we saw all of those Lord of the Rings sets. We know what Lego could potentially charge for Lord of the Rings, knowing that they could get money. So I think £500, in my head now, whenever I think about Lego releasing things, I always think £100 less for these big sets, because realistically at some point they're going to be on sale for probably around £100 less, especially at that price mark. So I'm kind of thinking, similar vein to you, that they'll have the seating area and they'll have a few things dotted around. But it's at the time when we discussed this last time, I was like, I'm 100% getting it. It is for me, it's going to rely on, and I've never really been a minifig collector, but I feel like it's going to rely on them having the entirety of the Fellowship in one set.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will be very disappointed if that doesn't happen.
Yeah, for that price, you'd want a complete fellowship as well, because you know as well that if they release the whole fellowship as unique, exclusive molds and colours and things like that, they're not similar to the original Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit like style colours. There may be variants or new molds that are different and detailed. It would justify the price tag that little bit more, because you're spending £500 on a line that was discontinued over 10 years ago. It's going to be the first time we've had a new Lord of the Rings style set of any kind in the last 10 years. And with the Rings of Power having finished and people are going back to watching Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit again, well, the Hobbit not so much, but Lord of the Rings, it shows that there is a need for that Lord of the Rings itch to be scratched. And I think £500, yes, is a lot of money for this, and for that money you would want to get minifigures with it. But I also think as well, very much in the same vein as you, how those minifigures turn out will make or break whether people go for it straight away or they wait till it's discounted.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you've pointed something really important out there. We're going to want new molds or new prints for these minifigs. I think a lot of people, again, like you say, it's been a long time since they've done Lord of the Rings releases. People would be very disappointed if we didn't get a new printed Frodo or a new printed Samwise, whoever it might be, Legolas. They need to be new prints. It needs to be a new design. It needs to be updated, because you are paying premium money for it. And the one kind of hope I hold out for it, being a very pessimistic Star Wars Lego collector, you do look at things like the Hogwarts Express, which is same price point, or even things a little bit cheaper like the Daily Bugle or other sets like that. There are sets around that price point that have a lot of minifigures with them, that are display pieces, and they've got a lot of minifigures with them. So I do hold out hope that they'll deliver. But it is the one niggle in the back of my head that is kind of telling me if they're not right, I don't know if I'm going to jump at it or not.
But I do have a counter argument to that. I do have a counter argument to that comment you've just made, and it's one that we've spoken about numerous times. And all I'm going to say is UCS Razor Crest, £600 minifigs.
Yeah, and this is my, like I said, pessimistic Star Wars outlook on everything, is that you can get £600, £700 sets from Star Wars where you get 4 or 5 minifigs that some of them aren't even exclusive minifigs. And then you can get £200-300 Marvel sets where you've got 10 exclusive minifigs in there. So it's hopefully it lands somewhere in the middle. There's no way they've picked up this line just to do, well, we know that they're doing Brickheads as well, but there's no way they picked up this line just to do kind of one big display set. They are going to do more sets. They're going to be releasing a lot more Lord of the Rings stuff. So this will be a good gauge.
Yeah, I would say that it's likely there'll be more, but this will be, like you say, this will be the barometer. This will be the water tester of how it goes. If people jump on this and it sells out and it's like, a big money maker, which, I mean, for that price point, it's going to make money, but it's going to be interesting to see where they go from here. Will they do smaller sets? Will they try and aim big and meet us in the middle and go for like a mid-range sort of set? I'm curious now. So yeah,
it will be very, very interesting. But I think I think it's going to do well, whatever happens. I think people are going to kind of celebrate the return of Lord of the Rings to Lego. We know as Lego fans, going to places like Brickfest or looking online, it's very sought after Lord of the Rings Lego, and hopefully this will kind of dampen some of that at least. And kind of reduce those massively heightened prices on Lord of the Rings stuff by releasing some new stuff. So I think that's important for Lego to do for us as fans. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be a positive one overall. But yeah, I can't wait to actually see some images of it. If it's March, we're probably going to have to wait until maybe January time before we actually see any proper images of it.
Exactly. And then that'll be like the barometer and gauge of what it'll be and whether we're going to get excited or we're going to be disappointed or something like that.
Yeah. It would definitely be interesting to kind of see the overall reaction from everyone as to who's going for it or not. Okay, so yeah, I think we've talked about this set a lot of times, but I think it's overall going to be a positive one. It's nice to know that your source was correct. I'm sure he was very pleased with that when when he found out. But it was very interesting where it came from as well. And actually, without us discussing exactly where it came from, I didn't realise that the person who told him that would have that sort of knowledge. It's quite interesting to know that that person knows stuff, which is, it got me thinking about a career change.
I'm not going to lie to you. When I found out, I was thinking to myself, I'm in the wrong profession here. I need to be like the inside whistleblower for this kind of stuff. So I'm very much interested in possibly changing over. If you want to fill out a CV after the podcast, we'll do it together, and then we'll may the best man win.
Absolutely, definitely. Okay, so this week again, because of prep and things, we're not going to do a minifigure draft as such, but we are going to do a bit of a head-to-head. And so what we're going to do is pitch a Lord of the Rings set. So since that was our main topic, we've got that on our minds. Myself and Josh are going to pitch one Lord of the Rings set that we would like to see Lego release. We're not going to put a limit on the sort of scale of it. It's just kind of whatever comes to our mind, and then you guys can vote on which one you would jump at. Would you go for Josh's idea or my idea? So since this is a very last minute thing anyway, Josh, I'm going to throw it over to you. I know that you have thought about this a little bit in the past anyway, but if you were in charge of Lego Lord of the Rings, you've got the brickheads and you've got this big scale thing coming out, what would be your next reveal, your next set for Lord of the Rings?
For me personally, I would go for a massive, like UCS style. We're talking 300 plus pounds, Helm's Deep, because we've had a smaller version of Helm's Deep. I would want a massive Helm's Deep that came with the Hornberg, the Deeping Wall, the ramp. I would want 20 plus minifigures. Most of them would be, say of those, okay, so 25 minifigures, give or take, some, say a few thousand pieces. Most of those minifigures would be Uruk-hai. You would get, say, Theoden, you would get Aragorn, Gimli, Legolas, you would get Aemir, you'd get some Rohirrim in there, you'd probably get some of the elves in there as well from the battle, and I think you would definitely get a Lord of the Rings Berserker, and I think there would be a feature where, for me, in my mind, you're able to blow up the Deeping Wall, ready to allow your Uruk-hai army to break into Helm's Deep, because it's such an iconic moment of the film, because you've got the charge of the elves against the Uruk-hai pikes, and you would top it off with a Gandalf the White on Shadowfax riding against the Uruk-hai with Aemir and the Rohirrim. That would be, say, 300 to 400 pounds, 6,000 pieces, 25 to 30 minifigures. Easy.
There you go. Done.
I'm pitching it.
Nice. What I would also like with that, and I don't know if have you ever built any of the Lego art sets?
No, but continue. Go on.
Yeah, so in the Lego art sets, they give you music to listen to alongside it.
Right,
so
okay.
like they kind of suggest music to listen to whilst you're doing these things. What I want is them to do the same with that set, with the Helm's Deep, but it's just Legolas and Gimli counting in your ear.
21, 22.
That's all I want.
I like.
Just want to hear them counting. Or even as you get to like step 21 or page bag 10, they're just them counting in the background. I would love that.
And then there'd be a point where there'd be a point where you get say you're on like step 17, and then you'd get just Orlando Bloom going, I want 17.
Amazing.
I love that.
Yeah, I think
so. Yeah, so that
Helm's Deep is a winner.
That's my idea. Helm's Deep is definitely a winner, and we've had a Helm's Deep before as like a play set. I think amp that up, jump on the nostalgia train, because the original Helm's Deep sells for big money on the secondary market right now. And then obviously you've got the additional Uruk-hai army set that goes with it. And I think combine the two, give us a full, not like a full scale like Helm's Deep, but like a massive scale Helm's Deep with a long version of the Deeping Wall, and just give us, like I say, 30 plus minifigures to really sink our teeth into, and I would be happy. I would snap your hand off for that set right away, and maybe even like a little bit of the moat and the cave, a little bit of, say, blue bricks for like the moat where the berserkers blow up, just a little bit of feature. Yeah. There you go.
You're going into the 600, 700, £800 territory now, building it up.
But you would buy it.
Oh, it would be amazing. Yeah, oh yeah, 100%. The one thing that I would say that has to come alongside that, and this is not a slight to your idea or not at all, but it's you want an Urukai battle pack.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because you want to, like the 8080, you get the Snow Trooper Battle Pack. You want to just, if you want to anywhere and you want to army build, you want like hundreds of Urukai charging Helm's Deep.
It would make more sense for the purpose of the movie, wouldn't it? The scene. So yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. Helm's Deep, great build. Okay, so for my pitch, very different end of the scale, very small, not saying small. And this is a set that I know Lego, I would, in my head, I'd genuinely be surprised if this doesn't happen. And it's a Gandalf versus Balrog. And I know that sounds very simple, but in the style of is it the Horntail? Harry Potter Horntail? I'm not good at Harry Potter stuff.
Yeah.
So that they released this really cool like Horntail kind of thing. So in that kind of style with the Balrog kind of like arching over Gandalf and him standing there, it's going to be made. And I would love like almost like a MIDI scale full Balrog display piece. I would love to have that on my shelf. Really simple, iconic scene. Everybody loves Gandalf. I feel like it's a winner.
Yeah. I like that because it's simple. It's the fact it's iconic, but it's simple. And I'd assume that you would build the Balrog. It wouldn't be like a big fig. You would build the Balrog yourself. Yeah.
So similar to, I'm seeing if I can find a picture of it now. So that the Horntail and I think Harry Potter sets. So they've done a few of them. There's like a big Phoenix one. So it's like a buildable figure, but it's also up on a stand as well. So it's like a proper display kind of piece. But I would like the Balrog like even
like headway.
Yes, sort of, yeah. And
Yeah.
have it kind of even bigger with kind of Gandalf, so even with like almost like a trench in between them. I just think it would be an awesome display piece. I think to have like a really detailed brick-built Balrog would be amazing, and to have Gandalf the Grey, like you say, Gandalf the White and Helm's Deep, and you have Gandalf the Grey versus the Balrog. I'd love it. It's one that I would definitely like 100% buy. And I feel like that's a decent price point as well. You're probably looking at £60-70 rather than £4,000, which is what yours is going to end up being. Full scale Helm's Deep.
Go big or go home. And I think
absolutely.
yours is very relevant, isn't it? Because there's that rumor leak of there being like a Gandalf and Balrog brickhead, isn't there? So I think that's very much in tune with that rumor. So if you're going to have it as a brickhead, why not release it as like you say, like a display style set as well? So I'm all for it if it involves that.
I think the style of Lord of the Rings, I think, fits more closely with Harry Potter sets than it would. Obviously, we're into Star Wars, and so I sort of think looking at those sets for inspiration, I think that's probably the route that they're going to go down. And it's not because I think Lego are going to do it, which I do think they will do it. I would just love to have that as a display piece. The Helm's Deep's just a big adult playset, isn't it? I genuinely feel like if we had a Helm's Deep, we'd quite happily sit around and recreate scenes with our minifigures.
And it'd be like the UCS Hoth playset, but better because it's Helm's Deep.
Yeah, it would. But I think you need, like I said, a lot of Urukai. I feel like you just need to up your price point by £200 and then just 50 Urukai in there.
I think as well, like you said, I mean, obviously we've both gone for something. We've both gone for two opposite ends of the spectrum. I've gone big, you've gone small, which I think is nice because we're both looking at it from two different lenses. But then that's the only downside with a head-to-head like this is there are so many other ideas, there are so many other options. We could sit here all night and speculate on things they could make as a set because people would probably want Weathertop, people may want Minas Tirith, people may want the Mines of Moria. People may want, I don't know. For
Minas
example,
Tirith is the one.
They may want. Go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say Minas Tirith is the one that I just can't work out what kind of scale. Like in my head, that would be like a £2,000 set, and it had just massive scale. Obviously, they're never going to do that, but I think that one needs detail. That is not a display, not a play set. I don't think that comes with minifigures. I feel like that just is a building. So that's why I didn't go for that one.
Like the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah. Yeah, similar, and that sort of scale. It would be ridiculous.
A 5 foot, a 5 foot Minas Tirith in like 10,000 something pieces. You walk home one day and you just say like, been busy, yeah, and there's just like a 5 foot Minas Tirith just above you, just like, yeah, I'm about to put the last brick, and your last piece is the white tree of Gondor.
Oh God. I already fear building that. It's one of those, like the Eiffel Tower holds no significance to me. Wouldn't buy it. But 10,000 piece Minas Tirith, struggled not to, I think.
Oh God.
It's worrying.
It's scary that your brain went there.
Yeah. Oh, dear. Yeah, so bit different this week, head to head. I like it. I think it'll be interesting to kind of see what people think, what way people would go, because I feel like it is, again, it's a different sensibility, isn't it? Would you want the big scale detailed set, or do you want just a nice little display set to put on your shelf? Obviously, we know what we'd go for, but we'll see what
absolutely.
other people go for.
100%. You know, just Lord of the Rings. It could be anything.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's been nice chatting with you, Josh. I know it's been a quick one this week, but always good to catch up. So, do you want to let everybody know, as usual, where they can find you?
Absolutely, yeah. You can find me on TikTok at the Galaxy of Bricks. That is my main social media platform at this moment in time. You can find me on Instagram as well at the Galaxy of Bricks. I post semi-frequently on there, just not frequently as I do on TikTok. And you can also find me on YouTube as well at the Galaxy of Bricks. I don't post as often as I first did when I started doing TikTok, but you can find some stuff on there as well, and you can reach me on any of those platforms if you have any comments, questions, or queries. And what about you, dear sir? Where can the people find you?
Well, you can find me on TikTok as Bite Size Bricks. This was mentioned in our group chat the other day. I'm dangerously close to that 10k mark now on TikTok. Ooh. I know for some people that is a tiny figure, and most people wouldn't care about that sort of thing, but we are small content creators, and 10,000 feels like a big mark, especially from starting and feeling like, well, I mean, I started and I got 100 followers, and I was like, this is ridiculous. Why are 100 people following me? So it's a bit scary, that, but yeah, kind of hoping to get there by Christmas. It would be a nice little Christmas present. So yeah, you can find me Bite Size Bricks on TikTok and on YouTube, mainly YouTube Shorts. I kind of regurgitate content in both places. And obviously you can find us at the Fandom Bricks podcast on YouTube, which is where we post all of our episodes. But you can also find us on Spotify and other podcast places as well.
Absolutely. So thank you everyone for joining us for this rather shorter than we're used to episode of the Fandom Bricks podcast. It was very impromptu and very last minute, but I think the two of us have handled it exceedingly well. So yeah, stay tuned for when this drops, because Friday's our usual drop time for the Fandom Bricks podcast, and just keep your ears and eyes open for that. We will try and get back to a more organised and semi-detailed schedule next time, but obviously it's getting close to Christmas, scheduling conflicts and things like that, but we will keep you updated if anything changes. I have been the Galaxy of Bricks. He has been Bite Size Bricks. You have been listening to episode 8 of the Fandom Bricks podcast.
It is episode 8.
Yeah.
It's exciting, isn't it? We're getting close to that double figures.
So we've been doing this. We've been doing this for 8 weeks. This is our 8th episode. We are making numbers. We're doing well. So thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you all next time for the Fandom Bricks podcast. And take care, and we'll see you all very, very soon.
See you soon, guys.
The Fandom Bricks podcast.